So how did you first learn that selling by building rapport, by being yourself and creating relationship was the most important thing?
This happened actually by accident. Today we have a lot of sales systems in place through different organizations around the country. But back then, we're talking 1989, I was 21 years old. It was in college. I'll never forget. I was doing an internship selling Kirby vacuum sweeper systems. And it was a Saturday, mid-December, snowy afternoon. And I was at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. And I was actually going door to door carrying my 2 big boxes of sweeper equipment. And I was striking out. I couldn't get in. We offered free carpet shampoos. That's how we were able to go in and demonstrate the product. And there was this one house that sat way up on the hill, and no one ever went near it. Well, I decided I came this far, let's go a little further. I went up there, knocked on the door, no one answered. I knocked again, no one answered. I walked around the back, and all I saw was a dog chained to a doghouse, and next to him was an outhouse. So I immediately started prejudging. I said, this guy doesn't have any money. He doesn't even have an inside bathroom. I said, which means he probably doesn't have a wife or goes the other decision maker. And that was misjudging him, but I thought, well, how can he have a wife? I mean, there was no car there. And what guy goes to a club and convinces a woman to go home with him on a bus to a house with no bathroom?
Or no roof.
For no roof, that's right. So I thought, I started prejudging, and I looked for an excuse to get out of there. So I started walking back to my car immediately, when all of a sudden I hear this groan from an upstairs window. It says, who's there? What you want? It was like I woke in an angry bear from hibernation. And I tried to make small talk. So I said, hi, my name's Rick, and I'm just offering free carpet shampoos. And isn't it a nice day? He says, hell no, it's snowing out. He says, and if I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. So I said, holy cow. So I figured, how can I change this guy's mood? So I said, gee, sir, it must be so nice living in a place up here all by yourself without any neighbors. I'd give anything to have a place like this. How in the world did you get so lucky? His whole demeanor changed. Everything changed. He said, been here my whole life, served my country, just me and Pepper here now. Pepper was his dog out back. He goes, hang on, I'll be right down. I hear this stumbling coming down. He opens a door. He literally had to duck down and turn sideways to get through the entrance. This man was 6'10", weighed 370 pounds.
Whoa.
And he looked at me, and I thought he was going to squash me. I was intimidated. I'm just a young guy. He said, okay, no sense in standing in the cold. Come on in. So I walked in. He goes over in the corner, he grabs a beer, and he tosses it to me. He said, name's Jake. I looked at his pictures that he had on the counter, and I said, my goodness, you were in the service? He said, yep. He said, you played football too. I said, how was that? You must have been a hero, both in the football team and the Army. He goes, that's right. And he started talking about his stories in the service and football. He talked for 45 minutes. I didn't say a word. And afterwards, he said, so what are you peddling there? I said, well, I got a vacuum cleaner that cleans and carpets and shampoos. If you had a carpet, I'd show it to you. This man had no carpet, and he had no inside bathroom, and by the looks of it, I couldn't tell that he had any electricity because there was no lights. It was just candles. So he said, hang on. He runs outside to his shed. I hear all this banging. He comes back and throws a rug down. 3-foot rug, dust flies, just like a scene from the Munsters, right? So I'm thinking, oh my goodness. He goes upstairs, comes down with the generator. He said, there, this will have to work. I don't believe in no fancy electricity. He puts it down. I take my sweeper plug it in, turn it on, didn't even have to run it. He saw how dirty it was and cleaned all the dust, and I shampooed it real nice for him. And then he said, okay. And I said, well, thanks for a lot for hospitality and letting me in out of the cold. I appreciate it. He goes, well, me and Pepper are going to go do a little hunting now. And then he surprised me by saying, I'll take that one if it's for sale. I said, you what? He said, I'll take that one if it's for sale. He said, you heard me, box her up. I said, holy cow. I first judged him. I said, this guy doesn't have a bathroom, no electricity, no carpet. He couldn't want one. Then I thought, how can he afford it? And that was my second misjudgment. So when I'm talking to him, I just stopped, and I got really scared because how am I going to tell this guy it's $1,200 for this vacuum cleaner? So to get it out of my mouth, I said, well, it's $1,200, but if you buy it with all the bells and whistles, it's $800. You could buy it for a low, easy payment of $35 a month. He goes, no, I want that there sweeper right there for $1,200. That's fine. He goes, can you box that thing up the way you had it before? I said, yeah. He said, okay. He goes up this creaky old ladder staircase to his loft upstairs. Waits 2 minutes and he calls me. He says, "Are you done down there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You box her up?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Good. Leave her there and you get up here." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "You get up here." Now I got really scared. It was no longer an uncomfortable cell situation.
Right.
This was survival. What's this giant going to do with me? I didn't want to go upstairs. So I said, do I risk losing the sale and leave, or do I overcome my fear and go up there and potentially risk my life? So I walked up the staircase and I looked over, and Jake was sitting on the edge of his bed, leaning forward towards the table. On top of the table was his generator that he took back up. Beside the table was a refrigerator. He said, "Come here." I said, "Oh, geez." So I walked over. He opened up the door, and I could see there was food and beer and pizza in the downstairs part of the refrigerator. Then he opens the freezer, says, "Take a look." So I looked, couldn't see much. He goes, "No, take a closer look." I looked in, and I saw all these plastic inserts stacked from the bottom, from the top, side to side, front to the back. Inside these inserts were hundreds, 50s, and $20 bills. There were thousands and thousands of these bills. It was Fort Knox to me. This is 1989, way up in the hills of Pennsylvania. I never saw anything like it. So he said, "Rick, you seem like a nice feller. I can't count too good. Reach in there, grab your 1,200 and make your sale, take another 100 for yourself. But if you take any more, I'll shoot you, and no one will hear it either." So long story short, I counted out the $1,200 plus my 100 out loud to prevent being shot, right? And we walked downstairs together, and he put his arm around me and he said, "I'll bet you never thought in a million years when you knocked on my door you thought you'd be leaving that sweeper with me here today. Now, did you?" I said, "No, I'm so embarrassed. What can I say?" He looked me in the eye and he said the words I'll never forget. He said, "Never judge a man by his outhouse." And I walked out, and I never forgot him. This man didn't trust any banks. His house was the bank. His vault was his freezer.
Yeah.
His alarm system was his dog, and his security guard was a loaded shotgun by the bed. That was Jake. I never forgot him. And from that day on, I never sold a product up until now. I never sold a product the rest of my life. I sold myself. The lesson I learned was you sell yourself, not the product. He bought because he liked me. The man had no carpet.
Well, I think the reason too he liked you was you listened. You first acknowledged the positive thing about him. You looked for the positive aspect of what he had. Acknowledged that. He probably didn't get that a lot in life, and then you listened to him for 45 minutes. That's beautiful.